One of the things that we were going to talk about are these whistleblowers that are dying, that are tied to Boeing. A Kansas man is now the second whistleblower linked to Boeing to die in the last 2 months. The family of 45-year-old Joshua Dean says he died April 30th. He had a staph infection that quickly developed into pneumonia. His blood oxygen level got so bad that his hands and feet turned black, and they were literally thinking of having to amputate to keep him alive. Dean, a former quality auditor at Boeing supplier Spirit Aerosystems, was reportedly among the first to sound the alarm about potentially dangerous defects with the 737 MAX. In March, former Boeing manager who raised safety questions about the aircraft maker was found dead from what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. John Barnett, 62, was a longtime Boeing employee and worked as quality control manager before he retired in 2017. In the years after that, he shared his concerns with journalists. Well, hello and welcome to the Tin Foil Hat Club. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Ben.
And thank you for joining us yet again. Well, Ben, here we sit.
Yes.
This is actually, I do believe, I got to think about this, but technically if we release these in order, this will actually be our 40th episode.
Oh, wow.
40. So some crazy statistics for you all if you do not know this. So here's the crazy statistics. 90% of all podcasts never make it past episode 10.
Yeah.
And then of the 10% that do, 90% of those don't make it to episode 20.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
Yeah, people just don't stick with it, man. They can't hang.
Yeah.
They want to be infamous. They want to get Joe Rogan status in 5 episodes.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No, it doesn't happen.
No, not at all.
No, that's not how this game plays. So yeah, we're clipping along, man. 40, the big 40. Soon we'll surpass our own ages as far as podcasts.
Oh, that's good. That's a good thing.
That'd be kind of fun, right?
That's a good thing.
So hopefully you guys are enjoying the video. It's been kind of a fun challenge for us to move over to that and opened up a lot of audience and a lot of new worlds for us. And we're excited about continuing that.
A whole new world.
A dazzling place we never knew. All right. Now that we've lost everyone, we wanted to talk about something today that we kind of kicked around a lot of different ideas. We got kind of a situation where we had some plans, but as the best laid plans go, they get put to the side sometimes, and you got to come up with something on the fly. So there's been a couple different things that I think everybody's been seeing in the news, and definitely you see all the time that things are weird, right? Like things are getting weirder by the day, and it's been so obvious when you look at some of this stuff, just how evil things are and how obvious it is that something's wrong. And, we're going to kind of probably cover some territory today of like very strange, foily things. But, one of the things that we were going to talk about are these whistleblowers that are dying, that are tied to Boeing. And, I want to say that, the last guy that actually died, I believe, was like our age. And, he was in good shape. He was healthy. And then suddenly was in horrendous shape and knocking on death's door. And I think I was telling you, his blood oxygen level literally got so bad that his hands and feet turned black. And they were thinking of amputating his hands and feet to try to save him.
Yeah.
And he just eventually just kind of gave up.
Yeah.
And died. And he went from like healthy to death in like hardly any time. And then you had another gentleman who I think was retired, who also died several months ago, right? So you have these really strange things that are happening. And they're just, there's no doubt about it that these dudes are getting killed.
Yeah.
I mean, let's call it what it is. These guys are getting killed they're killing them.
Yeah.
Now the question is, who's killing them?
Oh, well, I don't know.
Who do you think? You got any ideas?
Somebody that's invested.
Yeah, and who's more invested in Boeing than the government?
Yeah.
I mean, they can't have one of their largest subcontractors, getting in hot water and potentially getting in harm's way here.
Yeah, I remember when I heard about this, I was thinking, why cover it up? Because if planes literally start falling out of the sky, it's going to hurt business real quick.
Yeah, right. It typically does tend to put a little bit of a damper on business, doesn't it?
But maybe they're thinking like the auto industry, They pump out all these cars and things happen. And
yeah, I don't know.
Can people, since it's a business buying a plane, can there even be a class action lawsuit or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I would think you can, right? I'm sure that there has to be some kind of when we do have a normal airline accident, right? When people die en masse, they typically reach some kind of settlement with the families of the passengers.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there's something in there. But yeah, obviously this all stems from the fact that, we had the blowout of the window, the door plug on, I think it was Alaska Airlines.
Yeah.
And it almost sucked the girl out of the plane or whatever. And from there, they found more and more issues. And so now these people are starting to come forward and don't come forward, or you'll wind up getting off. And for those of you that haven't done it yet, go find us on the Tinfoil Hat Club on our Facebook page and group. Join our family. And because you put a video up on there of a guy that did a little whistleblower ditty.
Yeah, that's funny.
And somebody put on there he's going to wind up going viral and they're going to disappear him too.
Yeah. I know. Nobody can take a joke anymore.
I know, it's okay.
Nobody can take the truth.
No,
and that's what this boils down to. They've suppressed the truth for years, and you can't say anything truthful, or they either call you a liar or
they discredit you, destroy you that way.
Yeah.
Or they just kill you.
Kind of going back a long time ago when we talked about the 96 Olympics with the guy that saved everybody.
Yeah. Oh.
And it was during Clinton's administration, and the FBI tried to say he was gay
because they slandered him. Yeah.
Yeah. And he wasn't, but he saved so many.
Richard Allen?
Yeah.
Richard Jewell.
And he saved people. Much,
he was like a security guard, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
He tried, to warn people, and,
Yeah. That's what they do, man. But why? Why would they do that? Okay, so here's the thing. Because it was the FBI, I think, in that particular case.
Yeah.
If they're that incompetent, why do we pay so much to keep them? If the FBI and the CIA and all these different agencies are that incompetent that they literally can't, discern a suspect from somebody that's saving people, why do we still have these agencies? That's a loaded question, but
I could say something.
You're going to hold back on the Tinfoil Hat Club?
You might want to hit pause.
Well, we have editing tools, Ben. Depending on how bad it is, we'll put the old edit to it.
If the local police force can't even fill out the correct form for something, how is the national? And remember, these guys get moved up.
They get recruited. Yeah.
So think about it. Billy Bob, your neighbor, goes to the FBI. You going to trust him?
Yeah. I think, too, it's like anything else where, you're going to get networked in.
Yeah. We were talking earlier today about that.
Yeah, somebody, and so you're going to get in that way. Not because of your merit, not because you're a good police officer, but because, your cousin Timmy is already,
yeah, and that's
made his way in there, and so
that's how it works.
Bring your buddy, bring your friend.
That's how it works.
Yeah, it's sad to say, but yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you. It's probably accurate.
That's why they call it a brotherhood.
The FBI. We called it the CIA. That was our episode 3 was the CIA. Welcome to the CIA. Call it the FBI.
Yeah. I mean,
it's all the same.
It is. And that's the sad thing. I knew a guy that worked for the State Department during World War II. And he got shot down. He was in a plane, got shot down, and they recruited him when he was in the hospital, because they were looking for young guys. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it. Did a lot of spy stuff. But, he told me a lot of the things that he did. And it was for specific people. Not like, whistleblowers or...
Yeah.
He was like, I think one was a drug dealer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like almost like a James Bond kind of type thing. And so
Man.
I knew the guy. He had integrity.
Yeah.
All the way. And, I remember he saying, he goes, things that are happening today, he goes, we'd have taken care of it another way. And he was talking about the actual government.
Yeah. My goodness.
So they don't want the truth to get out no matter what.
No, they don't. The other thing too is we know for a fact, like there's a long history of the government backing, evil organizations.
Oh yeah.
Like the drug enterprise and like the whole Iran Contra. I watched a movie not too long ago. I think it was American Made or something like that. It was actually Tom Cruise, and he plays a real life guy. I forget the guy's name, but he got involved in like the CIA's operation, smuggling drugs for the cartels, and then they wound up getting him involved in like, was it Nicaragua or Grenada or something like that?
I was watching some reruns of Saturday Night Live today, back in it was when Bush 1 was in office, so 89. So they just got rid of Noriega, and he kept saying he was not my friend.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, it was their hands are dirty.
Oh, they're extremely dirty.
And
like FBI informants too.
Oh yeah.
Like Whitey Bulger.
Yeah.
Up like the movie The Departed.
Yeah.
Is supposedly loosely based on Whitey Bulger's life, right?
Yeah.
And how he was actually an FBI. All the evidence points to that he was an FBI informant.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of these guys wind up rolling on him, because they find out like you're an FBI informant, so you're like a rat. But they're allowing him to like run his evil little enterprise however he wants, which is killing, like literally killing people.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, man. That the depths of depravity that they will sink to is kind of staggering.
Yeah, it is.
So this guy comes on the heels of another guy that in March died. So I'll just read a little quick article here. A Kansas man is now the second whistleblower linked to the Boeing to die in the last 2 months. The family of 45-year-old Joshua Dean says he died April 30th. He had a staph infection that quickly developed into pneumonia. And again, he got so bad, his blood oxygen level got so bad that his hands and feet turned black, and they were literally thinking of having to amputate his hands and feet to keep him alive. And that's just That's just insane to me. And again, a healthy guy. Dean, a former quality auditor at Boeing supplier Spirit Aerosystems, was reportedly among the first to sound the alarm about potentially dangerous defects with the 737 MAX. Which, if you go, actually, there's a documentary on Netflix right now. I think it's on Netflix about Boeing when they had the MAX 8 planes that crashed.
Oh, yeah.
There was 2 of them right together. And that is extremely damning for Boeing, like what the documentary gets into, because they changed the design of the plane. There was a little sensor, a little flapper on the outside of the plane that would determine whether or not the plane was at the, like a stall pitch or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was malfunctioning and getting stuck and overriding the input controls for the pilots. And they never taught the pilots about this. because, anytime that you change the design of an aircraft to the point where it's going to affect the pilots, typically you have to do a mandatory retraining with all of your pilots, no matter how many hours they have on the aircraft, so that they know what's going on and how to override the system and da-da-da-da. And they deliberately classified this as however they classified this upgrade, where it wasn't essential enough for the pilots to know, so they didn't have to teach anybody and spend downtime teaching these pilots how to override the system.
Crazy.
So they wound up killing a bunch of people.
Oh yeah.
Crashed 2 aircraft.
Like Maria's uncle, he works at a place that does make aircraft parts, and he's an inspector, and he's like, I make sure that is the best part that goes out of there, because what I'm doing, people's lives are in my hands.
Yeah, like hundreds of people.
And he's like, I just might be welding a little sensor or something on a piece of something that's bigger. He goes, but I want my, he's...
Yeah, takes pride in it.
Yeah, he takes pride in it.
He knows that. He knows the game. He knows what's at stake.
Yeah. But
yeah,
the higher ups don't. They don't care.
No, they don't. And that goes back to our conversation we had earlier today, which is these people have gotten to where they are because of who they know, not because of their ability to do their job.
Yeah.
We have created an entire culture now that is merit or network based instead of merit based.
Yeah.
I watched this for years, working for who I worked for and just working in retail and working in, distribution and all kinds of different things. I would watch, CEOs. Like I was talking about the CEO of my former company with you earlier today.
Yeah.
The guy's an idiot. He's an idiot. He ran the company into the ground.
Yeah.
And they finally fired him. And they brought in another idiot because that's what they do. They don't know any better.
Yeah.
They bring people in that have nothing to do with what the job is or what the company is. It's just like, next person in.
Yeah. J. Edgar Hoover, head of FBI. He was a librarian.
Yeah, right. Never arrested anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But he kept tabs on everybody. He used the Dewey Decimal System definitely for his benefits of all of those little 3x5 cards that the dirty had on people.
Yeah, he kept a lot of dirt on folk.
I know.
Yeah.
And he was the dirtiest.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Can you imagine? That's another thing too, is you go back and you look at now, you can find out just how dirty these people are. It's all out there.
Yeah.
You just need to go dig into Freedom of Information documents.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever talked about it on the show, but one of the books that we have upstairs is 63 documents the government doesn't want you to read, which is Jesse Ventura's book.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's still alive.
Yeah,
whatever.
He gets a pass. He's part of them.
Guess he gets a pass.
Oh, did I say that?
Yes, you did. But it's insane because you can go read these Freedom of Information Act documents that it's so clear cut, like how wicked and evil these people are.
Yeah.
And what they have done before. Like they don't even hide it. Like here's what we did. MK Ultra and all these different things, all these different programs. Like, man, they're evil and they're wicked. And I just can't fathom. I can't fathom that someone in the government isn't behind getting rid of some of these whistleblowers.
Oh, I know.
Come on, man. Boeing is literally, besides Lockheed Martin, that's like their largest defense contractor. Well, it's got to be in the top 5, right? I'm like, there's a lot of defense contractors, but Boeing is, that's going to be like premium.
And since it's commercial.
Yeah, like it.
Yeah.
It's all tied together.
Yeah.
Because the company is all one entity.
Yeah.
So it's like we gotta make this go away.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't fathom that the government's not involved somehow.
Oh, they are.
With making these dudes go away. The government has a long history of making people go away.
Yeah, they do.
But yeah, it's kind of curious. Like we were talking, how ridiculous it is to put some of these people in these positions.
Yeah.
Earlier today, and I was sharing the story of Robert McNamara. We got it pulled up here. And I forget how we got on the topic, but we got on the topic of Vietnam and how evil that is, man. That was literally all staged, to get us involved over there. And it was a huge monetary boon for us. Nothing is more monetarily advantageous than war.
Yeah, it's true.
It just gets the economy cooking. And, here Kennedy gets in office and, he puts Robert McNamara in as Secretary of Defense. And Robert McNamara came from I think it was GM or somebody, or Chrysler. I don't remember, something like that. But he was a bean counter. Like he has no military experience or anything, of any note.
Yeah.
And we go into Vietnam, and it became all about body count.
Yeah.
And so, this dude is like, we're killing our guys just so we can try to claim body count. And they just started conflating the numbers to try to make their superiors happy. And we just wind up killing the average Joe.
Yeah, we do.
So that's sick.
The young men.
It's always the young men. So
always.
So this comes on the heels of the guy in March.
Yeah.
Right? In March, former Boeing manager who raised safety questions about the aircraft maker was found dead from what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So this is John Barnett, 62, was a longtime Boeing employee and worked as quality control manager before he retired in 2017. In the years after that, he shared his concerns with journalists. Like, John, you talked one too many times.
Yeah.
Quality control, imagine what he saw.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, I'm sure he saw some stuff.
Yeah.
62 killed him.
Wasn't very old then either.
No. It's amazing to me too how many times these guys die of some kind of self-inflicted wound.
Yeah.
And they make it a point to tell everyone around them, I'm not suicidal.
Yeah. If
something happens to me, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like you guys are in the middle of watching the octopus murders.
Yeah. That's on the first episode.
And the first episode, the guy that went, the journalist that all this is based around is he tells everybody, he's like, I'm not suicidal.
Yeah.
If something happens to me, they did it.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And sure enough.
Who are they?
Well, I would say it's some of those agencies that we talk about sometimes.
No, could it be even, I know we've discussed darker entities with the agencies?
I think so. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, you got to think too, an agency like the CIA is one of the interesting things when you listen to any of these guys that has worked for the government in any degree of like any kind of security clearance at all, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that's always fascinating that they always say is how compartmentalized everything is.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about an agency like the CIA, it's going to be extremely compartmentalized.
Yeah.
You're going to have guys that, do this job and other people do this job. And there's going to be a group of people that probably specialize in getting rid of problems. Yeah.
Like that guy I was telling you about a little bit ago. He was in Russia for a few years as a prisoner.
Oh, wow.
His family didn't even know where he was.
Oh, wow. They think he was dead or they knew he was alive?
They just thought he was dead.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it was like 3, 4, maybe 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And he said that, nobody knew he was there. Like, that mattered to him. But he goes, all I remember is, I think he said it was on Christmas. He heard a plane land. They opened his cell. And he said, I walked out and I got on the plane and I came home.
Oh, wow.
He said, I have no idea what they did. What kind of trade.
Yeah.
He goes,
but they worked something up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an interesting interview out there with Howard Hunt, Howard Hunt, who CIA operative, was involved in Watergate, him and G. Gordon Liddy. And it's on Firing Line is the show from back in the day. And this is after Watergate, and they're talking to him, and Buckley, the guy that hosts the show, is asking him, how that works, And is it kind of a written thing? Is it unwritten? And he was basically saying that they tell you early on, if you're a spy or you're involved in some kind of spycraft or whatever, that the deal is that, if you get captured, they will make every attempt to try to get you back. That's the deal. In the meantime, until that happens, they will take care of your family. Monetarily and whatever that they need, your family will be taken care of. And it's typically in line with what your salary was. They continue your salary and, do all these things until you're recovered. And they make every attempt to get you back. So they must have been doing something to do that. And then, or they made some kind of exchange, like you said.
He was like, he
didn't even know.
He didn't even know. He said the day, he goes, I remember kissing my wife and my kids by.
Wow.
And he goes, and I went out, and he goes, and he said he was doing something. He's like on a boat or something, and he said a Russian boat came up and picked him up.
Jeez. Yeah, that's crazy stuff, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy stuff.
I miss him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah, man, these dudes have stories.
I know.
And that's the other thing, too, is it's amazing how many of these guys, their deathbed confessionals are something fascinating.
Yeah.
Talking about they did this and that. And, like Howard Hunt is actually one of the guys that's suspected of being one of the shooters in Dealey Plaza when Kennedy was assassinated. Because they have a photo of like 3 hobos, right?
Yeah.
And they think that he might have been one of the 3 hobos. But
yeah, that's interesting.
Keep watching the Octopus Murders. That's all I'll say.
I know, we need to.
It's crazy, man. I'm telling you what. And this stuff happens all the time. I think I said it earlier today, and I've said it quite a bit lately. I think evil is very thinly veiled or not veiled at all.
Yeah.
And I think the veil has gotten so thin in some instances that we're actually able to see through it just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of what actually happens, like in Washington and in some of these places and how they operate. And man, it is absolutely just terrifying.
It is.
Because you're only seeing like the 10% of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Right. The veil doesn't let you see the 90% that's under the water. It just lets you see the 10% that's on top. And man, that 10% alone is just terrifying.
Well, we just this past week we had our primaries here.
Yeah.
And think about all these people that I'm going to do change and blah, blah, blah.
And they're not going to change.
They're lying through their teeth.
Yeah.
Because when they get in that world and they see that stack of money.
Play the game.
They're like, what did I say? What did I say I was going to do?
Yeah.
I
forgot. All this money in front of me made me forget what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I changed my mind too. I was only going to run like Sparts. She said she was only going to run. Victoria Sparts was only going to run. I think it's stay in office 1 term. And she's like, well, I changed my mind.
Yeah.
I decided I'm going to stay. I want to go back.
Because they want that money.
Of course they do. They're incentivized to do it. The longer that they stay in office, the better their pension is.
Yeah.
It's a completely corrupt system.
And
people don't even know this. Do you know that as a senator or congressman or woman, right, you get $1 million stipend for office staff a year?
I remember you telling me that.
$1 million.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. I'm sure there's $1 million worth of staples and stuff that you need to get.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We need this and this.
Right. And that's supposed to cover everything, your travel, your staff, all that stuff.
Yeah.
They also make, I think the salary is like $150,000 or something like that a year.
Yeah.
It's roughly. I'm sure somebody will correct me, but
yeah,
that's roughly that. And if I forget how many years they serve, they get a full pension and all this and that. So you're incentivized to stay in.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. I had the privilege of talking to a Republican candidate for Congress.
Did they win, by the way?
No, got trounced. Just got trounced.
But I didn't vote, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah. So, I talked to this person and I said, okay, they've got all these ideas.
Yeah.
And they're going to change the party, right?
Yeah.
And my question was, simply put, I said, are you willing to get censured? Are you willing to get censured? Are you willing to go and do these things? Because they'll censure you.
Yeah.
They'll censor you and they'll run you out on rails.
Yeah.
And they'll make sure that someone else comes in that will be their little
puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I don't vote.
Hello, puppet.
That's why
the wheel just turns around and, it runs right over us.
What, I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time voting anymore.
The two part I think there's like maybe one other country out there that has a two-party system.
Yeah.
It's destroyed our country.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, look what we have to vote for coming up here in this next presidential election.
I know.
I mean, it's just it's putrid.
Yeah.
It's absolutely putrid.
Evil.
Yeah, man. It's completely evil. That's why, it's going to be interesting because we're not forgetting, okay? We haven't forgotten. We're watching what day it is. And the time for Pentecost is coming up quickly.
Yes.
So will America be judged? I don't know. But we are wicked.
Yeah, we are.
We are wickedly evil.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long God is going to tolerate that before passing out some judgment.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, I watched a presidential candidate the other day who is now, it's Kennedy. He's now backtracking what he said, but he's like, he literally came out and he even surprised his VP because they were together talking at wherever this was. And they got on the topic of abortion. And he actually said that he would be okay with a woman making a decision to have a full-term abortion. Like the baby is literally viable, ready to come out, and it would be okay to kill it.
Yeah. See, I'm
like, dude, that's wicked. Like, you're going to hell, bro.
I can't if they support abortion. Actually, if they support anything like that, Republican, Democrat, they're evil. They're literally just bathing in the blood.
Yeah. It's like, what's the difference between that and like all of the child sacrifice that we've talked about on the show before, like with these old gods, right? It's like, we talk about all the time. Old gods are coming back.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
They are, because it's actually completely they're completely unopposed.
Yeah,
and people have gotten so wickedly desperate, vile, and evil, right? Like we've gone past like hurting, right? Yeah. We've gone past like lost and hurting. Like, yeah, you're lost and you're hurting, but you've gone one further and you're just disgusting.
Yeah.
And you're vile and you're evil.
Yeah.
Because like when you want to do these things, you're evil. I'm like, well, we're talking about passing legislation that literally will make it so that we can't say that, Jews killed Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, bad news. Jews killed Christ.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, come on, man. That's fact.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, that's not fact. You just making that up. You're believing in a document that is just make believe. And I'm like, okay, sure. My document's make believe. The Bible's make believe. Yeah. That's why all the things that continue, it's like on the one run, we have evil that's running completely unopposed and out of control. And on the other hand, we find out more and more things every day. And the more evil runs crazy and out of control, and the more things we find out archaeologically and all these other things, it just supports the Bible.
Yeah,
both of them.
I was thinking, weird that this came up. I was thinking, and we just, like with the book of Jubilees a few weeks ago when we were talking about that, and like when the, like all the true Levitical priests ran out.
Yeah.
Though they got ran out.
Yeah, Maccabean wartime.
And all the other ones came to power. Mm-hmm. And they were in power during Christ's time.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that they were the ones wanting him dead.
Oh, yeah.
And then they said, let his blood be on us and our children.
I know, that's crazy. We were talking on the phone the other day, I think, and you had brought that up.
Yeah, that's so technically they're not, I'm not sticking up for them, but they are not the rightful heirs.
Yeah, I want to say this is Matthew. Some of what you started talking about is actually Matthew 23.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pull it up here just so we can read the text. But this is actually where Christ, and again, for anybody that has watched the first few episodes of The Chosen this season, I think they got into this. And this is actually Matthew 23. I'm going to start right in verse 1. And of course, we're reading from the CJB.
Yeah.
Then Yeshua addressed the crowds in his Talmudim, which is the disciples. Midim. I could never pronounce Hebrew very well. I'm terrible there. The Torah teachers and the Prushim, he said, sit in the seat of Moses. Mm-hmm. Now, it's interesting that he says that. So whatever they tell you, take care to do it, but don't do what they do because they talk but don't act. They tie heavy loads onto people's shoulders but won't lift a finger to help carry them. Everything they do is done to be seen by others, for they make their tefillin broad and their tezoyet long, which is what we talked about with last episode with Tom.
Yeah.
And again, that's because of what you just said. You know, the reason he's saying that is because they ran out all of the priests.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's this element of corruption.
There's always been corruption.
Always. And I don't view it any differently. Like the structure is different, but like the way that I view this is their governmental structure.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Pharisees and Sadducees, while it's done from a religious perspective, that is ultimately kind of almost like their governmental structure.
Yeah.
You know, you've got Herod and some of that.
And then they conspired with the Romans to kill him. So even we can bumping people off is what the government's good at.
Bumping people off. Yeah, they've been doing it since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
Like, who are we talking about before we hit record today that you said they gave cancer?
Bob Marley.
Oh, Bob Marley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he turned to Christ right before he died.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
He did.
Well, that's awesome.
And he was really upset that nobody talked about that.
I could imagine that.
Like, and a lot of people are like, well, it was a deathbed.
Man, so we're going to have Bob Marley in heaven?
Yeah.
That's pretty boss.
Yeah.
I do like me some Bob Marley.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty nutty.
I know a guy, a buddy of mine, I talked quite a bit about on the show. He, I think he did a mission trip down there, and so he went to his house and everything.
Really?
He's talking to people there and stuff.
That's crazy.
Shout out to Justin. Hey, Justin.
Hey, there you go. Hey, Justin, I don't know. Shout out to you. Do you remember Vanity from the 80s?
No.
Like Prince found her. She was kind of hot back in the 80s. Like that was her era where she was
No, I don't.
really popular. And then she's kind of a tragic tale too. She, you might know her if you saw her. Let me pull up a picture. But she's kind of a tragic tale as well because she got like really, really bad drug addictions and like bad drug addictions. But she's another one. She turned her life over to Christ several years before she died. And I think she actually wound up dying. Her health failed because of all the years of heavy drug abuse and stuff. And yeah, she's kind of a tragic tale, man. No, not ringing a bell.
No.
Yeah, but she turned her life to Christ and was very evangelic about things, and
That's good.
yeah, and then just wound up dying off. All those years of drug abuse just ate her body up. She wasn't very old.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad. Maybe I don't even think she made it to 60.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 57. She was 57 years old when she died. Yeah. But yeah, Prince found her. And she kind of became popular. She was a musician and actress and everything. But
interesting. I can't.
Kid of the 80s.
Yeah, I can't get into Prince. That's why.
Yeah. Like I always remembered her from one of my favorite movies when I was a kid, being a child of the 80s, was The Last Dragon.
Oh, okay.
You remember her now?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, yeah.
You are the last dragon. You possess the power of the globe.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Barry Gordy.
Yeah.
Barry Gordy's the last dragon. I'm sorry, Barry Gordy. I didn't mean to shortchange you.
Yeah. No, I remember that now.
The bad guy's name was Show Nuff.
Yes.
Show Nuff.
Yes.
It's so cheesy.
It was a good movie, though.
It was good. It was good. You know what I found yesterday? And I know we're like taking it really hard. We've ADD'd this bad boy right off the tracks.
Stay with us, folks.
That'll be all right. It's all right. They listen in for the conversation. I found a show yesterday that I used to watch when I was a kid called Airwolf.
Oh, yeah.
You ever watching Airwolf?
Yeah.
Actually, the first R-rated movie I ever watched, I did a sneaky on my mom because my dad had a copy of it. My dad should be in VHS jail for like the rest of eternity for all the piracy that he committed on with VHS.
I think everybody did.
Was Blue Thunder?
Oh, that was a good movie.
Oh, with Roy Scheider?
That was a good movie.
Yeah. So like that whole helicopter, kind of that was
good
stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first R-rated movie I watched was Blue Thunder with Roy Scheider.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a great show. Still good. Still a good one.
Yeah. Does it hold up?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny because actually, ironically enough, we've come full circle because the message behind that, if you remember, is the government. It's always the government, and like the CIA, I want to say, have created this helicopter that they're going to basically use to spy on Americans.
Yeah,
and it can do all these crazy things and has all these listening devices, and it has stealth mode, which is hilarious. And, there's silent. They called it silent mode, I think, or something. Yeah, it was basically like stealth technology.
Yeah. Thinking about Batman. Which one was it where he was trying to find? Was it the Joker? And he was listening, and Fox didn't want anything.
Oh, yeah. So that was Christian Bale.
Yeah.
And you're actually talking about The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
it's another great movie.
And he said, he was upset about it.
As long as that, Morgan Freeman's character says, as long as that is at Wayne Enterprises, I won't be.
Yeah.
So, Wayne uses it for one-time use and then destroys it.
And he says, just hit this button when you're done and just delete it.
It'll all go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Character right there.
Yeah.
That's what most people are lacking these days.
Oh, nobody has character.
No.
But they probably have some of that technology.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that they can. Oh, come on, man. We carry around our own little. Right. Yeah, like you just picked your phone up. We carry around our own little. We bug ourselves.
I know. Willingly.
All the time.
Willingly.
Absolutely. Get you addicted to that phone.
Yeah.
I watched someone the other day. I was like, this is insane to me because what's happening is the generation that grew up with iPads and electronic devices are like, they're adults with kids now.
Yeah.
And this lady was talking about you guys can't see it, but like where the cameras are actually being held is I bought these nice gooseneck, things to kind of hold the cameras. And she was talking on one of the reviews about buying this. She said because she absolutely cannot not have her device on when she goes to sleep or she can't sleep.
That's crazy.
Has to have the device on.
That's insane.
That's how like addicted like her brain is to the camera or the phone or like.
That's crazy.
Yeah. When you're that addicted to something that you can't even go to sleep without having something playing. That's where we are.
See, I couldn't go to sleep.
It's all by design too.
I couldn't go to sleep without the radio on.
You gotta have something. In the background.
Once when I got married, that
she's like, shut that crap off.
Yeah.
See, I like some light too when I go to bed, but like Adrian would love to have just like everything like black out.
I got used to
a blackout zone.
But I sleep the best when the kids are noisy.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, that's when I want to go to sleep.
Yeah. There's an element of comfort to it.
But when it's quiet, it's like
that's your parental spidey senses tingling, knowing that there's no reason that because you have 5 and there's no reason that there should be silence in this house. If there is, there's some crap going down.
Yeah, I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, it's 2. I don't hear anybody up. That's weird.
Yeah,
because usually somebody's
still up.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we live in a nutty world.
Yeah. But
there's no doubt about it, coming back to where we started, that these dudes got off, man.
Yeah, they did.
And I'm like, obviously every other whistleblower, it's like, are you going to come forward? You got family, you got kids, you got a wife. Are you going to come forward?
Yeah, it's like sending a message to them.
Absolutely, sending a message to them.
Yeah.
Like, you keep your mouth shut. You keep letting us try to kill people.
Yeah, I mean, what's the worst? So you kill me. Big deal.
I know, but
I was talking to my mother-in-law about this. This is weird. And she's like, I don't know where they stand with their souls.
Yeah.
But she said, I think they would be in heaven. She says, greater love hath no man than lay his life down for his friends.
Oh, you mean
The
like
whistleblowers.
the whistleblowers?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like the thought of it.
But I'm not, I'm that's splitting hairs. But the fact that they're willing enough to die, you know.
Yeah. Imagine that you know, you got to really think about that. That's actually really powerful, because let's run down the line of they don't believe in God. They don't believe in Christ. They're completely atheist, right?
Yeah.
And they're willing to do that. Man, that's a powerful human being, because they think that once they're done, that's it.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. C'est la vie. No more.
Yeah.
Like, that's powerful.
It
have
is.
that kind of, like, it's almost in some ways like even more, takes more courage to be in that headspace than us. If we were to lay our lives down, because we're like, the way we view it is like, fine, I go visit Christ. I had to die is gain, right?
Yeah.
You know, for them to do that is almost like another level of courageous.
Oh yeah.
Above like what we have, because it's like, you know, we believe in an afterlife and eternity, and again, to die is gain. You know, for me, I've gotten to the point too where it's like, I don't worry about death from anything from my standpoint.
Oh yeah.
What I worry about is, would my wife be taken care of?
Yeah.
You know, and because we're to the age now where it's like, it's pretty much just her left. You know, all the kids are grown and gone. So like, you know, I mean, we still have Jesse here, but, you know, pretty soon he's going to be in that same boat, because that's just where he is at in life.
Yeah.
But it's like, would, you know, A be okay?
Yeah.
That's the number one thing that bothers me about it. I don't care about myself one iota. Like, you can wipe me out right now. To die is gain.
That's how I feel about it too.
Yeah, like, I just want to make sure that she's taken care of.
Now is it selfish that I would rather be last?
That she would go first?
Yeah.
I think that's no. I think it's more selfish probably to say that you would want to go first.
Yeah.
I mean, that's because
just looking at it
because that way you don't have to suffer the loss of
of
them.
And then she doesn't have to suffer the loss of me.
Yeah, so you're actually, in that particular instance, I think it's more honorable for you to have that thought.
Yeah.
That way she doesn't have to suffer through the loss of you.
Yeah. That's something I think about.
Or you're like, hey, I don't want to go first because I know you'll get remarried. No. You know, no, it's all terrible, man. And what's coming's awful.
It is.
I'm like, listen, we kind of alluded to it earlier. I think we got sidetracked, but you know, we're getting ready to pass legislation to limit freedom of speech here.
I know we are.
You know, that begs a question of like, you say something because now we're opening Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Now we're opening the door for you to be able to come and arrest me and take me to jail for something I said.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, granted, some would argue that we probably already have that door open, but now we're really kicking the door open, right?
Yeah.
Do you go willingly? This came up in church today. And I got to tell you, I was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, you might be going to proselytize in prison, but I'm thinking that I might be not here anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know that I'm going to just willingly go with somebody that wants to put me in jail and take me away from my family and put my family at risk. I mean, that's a no-win situation, because it's like, okay, you go to jail and at least you're still alive, and, you know, they're not having to grieve your loss, or are they? Because where are they going to take you? Where are they going to put you? Because what's the end run of this, right? Like, how bad? Eventually, you know, we get to the point where it's like
everybody's in prison,
and they just disappear you.
Who's going to? Okay, here's the most. I will say probably most taxpayers are white church-going people. I'm saying,
yeah.
And then you get, then all the other groups of people fall into that. So, our age pretty much is where they get their money from, us paying taxes. Mm-hmm. If all of us are in jail, who's going to fund the government?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I've said for a while now, too. I'm like, if they're going to print as much money as they ever need, then why do they need our money?
Yeah.
It's just control.
Yeah.
They don't need our money. right?
Yeah.
It's just control. They tax us to death.
Yeah.
They literally tax us to keep their thumb on us, right? That's what they do. That's how they control us.
Yeah.
They tax everything. And we've allowed them to do that. It's so amazing to me. The more and more that we talk and the more and more that we dig into things, the more and more I keep coming back to like the early 1900s, because 1910 to 1920 was a really critical point for this country.
Yeah.
And we should have actually had a revolutionary war and taken our country back from the politicians.
Yeah.
Because they did so many vile things during that time frame that were clearly designed to strip away our rights and get us to where all of the things that we experience today from a tax perspective and an overreach perspective from the government started back then.
Yeah.
And our ancestors, our grandfathers should have been like, our great grandfathers should have been like, no, you do that and we're going to shoot you.
Yeah.
Well, you do that and we're going to raise arms against you because that's the only thing that you have. It's like Frederick Douglass. I made this comment the other day. Frederick Douglass, I believe it was him, had a famous quote. He said, "A man's freedom resides in 3 boxes." He said it resides in the jury box, the ballot box, and the cartridge box.
Mm-hmm.
And how much do we have left in the first 2?
None.
I mean, we see it all the time. Our court system is corrupted.
Yeah.
I'm like, the Supreme Court is completely corrupted. It's become a just an extension of the political arena. There is no real true balance anymore between the legislative, the judicial, and the executive branch. They're all corrupted together. And then we clearly have tons of evidence, and anybody that thinks that we don't, I encourage you to go watch 2000 Mules, because it's absolutely undeniable proof that they have tampered in our elections. There's more information coming out. I just saw it yesterday. That's going to probably get picking up in the news cycle about, I forget the guy's name, but went in and flipped like however many thousand votes on one of the voting machines.
No.
I know, go figure.
Okay.
Yeah, for those of you that haven't watched 2000 Mules, let me give you a little taster of what that is. So here's what they did, and obviously this focused on the 2020 election that was stolen. All right, and I think anybody with 2 brain cells to bang together knows that happened.
Yeah.
I stayed up really late that night, and I went to bed, and I'm like, this is over. He's getting reelected. Slam dunk. And then we woke up in the morning, we're like, what happened? Because it all magically happened overnight, right? And what you can see in 2000 Mules is, and you can do this, anybody can go do this, and this is how you get targeted advertising today. They literally went to these different places in these a couple swing states, okay, that had drop boxes for ballots. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay. So just explaining it for everybody that hasn't.
Yeah.
So at a lot of these locations, there's cameras on these drop boxes. And so what this group did is they went and they bought the cell data, because anybody can do this, which we probably shouldn't be able to do this anyway, but everybody can do it because it's legal. They bought the cell data so they could track the movement of these individuals from one location to another. And literally these people were going to like 20, 30 different locations in a night.
Yeah.
And then when you pull the camera up, you can corroborate this is the same individual. They're in the same car. They're wearing the same clothes, same hair. We know it's the same person. And they're literally putting multiple ballots in to each of these locations, all 20, 30 locations, every single night. And you do that, and you have 2,000 people doing that. You literally can swing thousands, millions, hundreds of thousands of ballots and votes, and you can swing an election.
Yeah. I was thinking about the movie Man of the Year with Robin Williams. Have you seen that?
It's been a long time.
And they fixed the election.
Yeah,
for the president, and the person.
Oh yes,
and the person that found out about it, they tried to kill him.
Yeah,
then they tried to discredit them, and then they ran him down.
Yeah,
the same things that they do all the time. So they put it out in plain sight.
Yeah, it's a little Hollywood telegraphing.
Yeah, it was going to happen. I mean, everybody knows that it's true. In this movie that's coming out now about the moon landing. You know,
What's this one?
oh, it talks about how they made an actual video of it on Earth in case they didn't make it.
Right, in case they didn't make it.
We went to the moon. Come on.
I'm finding that more and more suspect as the time goes on. I'm not going to say that we didn't go to the moon at this particular point. I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to, like I always say, I'm not ready to plant my flag. But I got to tell you, I got the pole in my hand.
We didn't plant our flag.
I've got the pole in my hand, and it's looking pretty good for me stabbing it into the ground.
I don't think we went to the moon.
Again, I can get behind that a lot more than I can some of the other theories, just because it makes a whole lot of sense given the time frame and what was going on geopolitically at the time.
Yeah.
Because we were getting absolutely trounced by the Russians when it came to the space race.
Yeah. And how'd they get a phone line that long?
Tricky stuff, man. Tricky stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting cable.
Yeah.
Just get it on a spool on the back of the ship.
And then, with
the radiation, I think, is one of the things that people really talk about.
Yeah.
The Van
Allen radiation.
Van Allen, is that what it is?
Yeah. And they were in a tin can and aluminum foil.
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. You had mentioned something earlier. I wanted to pull this up because you were talking about, how they start to pick off certain segments of the population, and eventually who's left, right? And it's kind of crazy because when you look around us today, there's so many people that have made this comment about how this is like, 1932 Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Some of the things that we're doing, and it is creepy how it is really looking like some of these things is like we're becoming victims of the past. This is a quote I heard somewhere else, but this is a quote from a guy by the name of Martin Niemöller, who was a German pastor. And this is what he said. He said, "First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Mm-hmm. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me."
Yeah. That's what's happening.
That's exactly right. So when you're cheering on, yay, freedom of speech, good. You shouldn't be able to say anti-Semitic things, this and that.
Then that's not freedom of speech.
That's for you. You may be for that today, but what's tomorrow when they target something that you want to say?
Yeah.
And then they lock you up, that you're not going to feel the same way about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not freedom of speech.
No,
if you're offended by somebody, what somebody says, that's freedom of speech.
Yeah.
They have the right to be offensive. They have the right to do what they want to do. They have the right to say what they want to say. It's called shut up and get over it.
Yeah.
Everybody's like Derek, when we had Derek on a few weeks ago, he made a great point about this. He's like, words hurt them. Yeah, they can't handle it.
I know.
But they'll get mad and they'll go and they'll spray paint, deface public property, and they'll go and glue themselves to, paintings and throw Campbell's soup on, precious artwork.
Yeah.
And it's like, but they can't handle speech, but they'll violently lash out and do these types of things and protest.
Yeah, because all of the old gods are returning.
I tell you what, it's sickening, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's scary stuff, man. I got to tell you, Ben, we're going to see what happens on Pentecost because we're a vile country.
Yeah, we are.
We're a disgustingly vile country.
Yeah.
I look at all these presidential candidates and
not one good one.
I mean, just imagine that. Imagine going back to just the 1800s, right? Even the 1920s, like we talked about, right? Let's just go back to the 1920s. Even though things were really sick and really bad, and a lot of bad things happened that set up a lot of really disturbing things for now. Imagine having one of those candidates suggest that it would be okay to kill a full-term baby.
Oh, yeah.
And what they would have done to that person.
Oh, they would have probably strung him up.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's wicked.
Yeah.
And I think as Christians, one of the things that we struggle with is, where is the line to fight evil? Like physically fight evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when is it okay to be like,
like we've said from day one, the Western church is weak.
Oh, completely.
We have, we've castrated ourselves. I mean, just pretty bluntly. I was listening to Acts this week. I think I listened to about every day this week. We are nothing like the Church of Acts. I know they had fighting and whatnot, but
they were trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we do not have their power.
No.
Over anything.
No.
We're just a mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got a relationship with God, that's good, go ahead, you're saved from the torment of fire. That's all we care about. It's
hollow.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We don't care about driving out demons. We don't care about healing people.
No.
We don't. We have given it up to science.
Mm-hmm.
So we trust should be trusted in science instead of trusting God.
I'm thinking, based on what I've seen the last few years, I'm going to go with a big no for me. Thank you very much.
But I'm just saying that's what the church does too.
I 100%. Look what happened when we went through all that stuff, and look how the church responded.
Yeah.
With the mandates and everything. And we had churches shaming other churches for being open.
Yeah. If we really were the church, we should have been praying for, okay, everybody, if you're sick, let's pray and get you healed.
Yeah.
That's what we should have been doing.
Right.
And now,
I mean, church is really going to the point of like, if you don't love Jesus, or, if you don't do this, you don't love Jesus.
Yeah. Now let's think about this. Paul had a viper attached to his arm, biting. He shook it off. Nothing happened to him.
Yeah. That's a crazy story.
He was stoned to death, got back up.
That's another crazy story. I always like to joke now as like you go study Paul and you're like, can you imagine Paul getting up in front of everybody after a few of these missionary journeys? And he's like, who wants to go with me this time? Like, no, I am not going with you, boss.
Yeah.
Bad things happen when people go with you.
Yeah. But that was God. I think that was God saying, look what I can do.
I think it was, isn't there a passage where it talks about, go basically, I must show him how much he must suffer in my name.
Yeah.
I think it was basically, I think it was him. He had to go there because of what he had done.
Could be.
I think that was like his kind of repentance or like his, I don't want to say punishment, I guess is the only thing I can really come up with. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but.
Yeah, but if people want to know what we need to be like, read Acts.
Yeah. I love how everybody like the number one target, I think right now in scripture for the modern people isn't Jesus. It's Paul.
Yeah.
They freaking hate Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, with a passion. He's probably more hated now than he was then.
Yeah.
Because anybody that has anything to say, they want to live. It always comes back to, I don't like what Paul had to say. I want to be able to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Or I want to make something that someone else is doing okay.
Yeah.
And Paul says it's not okay. So then I don't like Paul.
Yeah.
And I want to discredit Paul. And I want to throw Paul out.
Yeah, it's true.
And it doesn't work that way, kids.
No.
Because I love Paul.
Yeah, I mean, he's great.
Paul hit it hard.
Yeah, he did.
But he didn't mince words. But that, we need that nowadays. Everybody gets offended about everything.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I had two older brothers and my dad growing up.
Right.
I didn't have a chance to get offended.
Right.
I didn't know what the word meant.
I know, right? It's like, suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do, man. They get hurt over everything now. It's crazy to me. It's insane. But we shouldn't be shocked by it because this is what happens when you take a bunch of spoiled, rotten kids and they become spoiled, rotten adults.
Yeah.
We've got 2 generations now that are coming up behind us, and not all of them. I'm not trying to say everybody from that's a millennial or a Gen Z or whatever that next one is, a Gen Y. I don't know.
I don't know.
I can't keep track. I'm not saying that all of you, but the vast majority of you, yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm not impressed. Yeah. Y'all get too hurt too fast. It's ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Look at all the mental health issues that we have right now. I'm like here, literally out here, like where we live is a very small community, right? And literally it's a junior, senior high school out here. Yeah. So they combine all of them together because it's so small in numbers. And every single year, it's almost like without fail, 1 or 2 of these kids kills themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that tells you something.
Yeah.
Because so just imagine what's happening at some of these huge schools that have graduating classes of 1,000.
Yeah.
You know, they guarantee you're going to have 10 kids kill themselves, 5 kids kill themselves.
It's because the church has let evil run wild.
Yeah, it has.
It's the Wild West here in America for evilness.
Yeah, it is, man. It's wicked.
Yeah.
And do you think it's the government, the church, both? Like, it's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg? Do you think it's the church broke down first and then the government? Or do you think the government broke down first and then the church just kind of followed suit?
It was the church. Because when was it, 63? When they took prayer out of church? The church didn't fight it.
Oh, prayer out of school?
Yeah. Yeah. Church didn't fight it.
Yeah.
One woman changed the history of this country.
I forget what's her name.
Who cares? Oh, there, I said it. Evil should not be lifted up.
No, it needs to be stamped out.
Yes.
And we don't do that.
No.
Yeah, I think for me, it always comes back to comfort.
Oh, yeah. No church. Nobody wants to get out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, and it seems like, you had the roaring 20s.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so when you look during that time frame, that's a sweet time to work some wickedness in there.
Yeah.
Because everybody's doing really well and they're enjoying life and things are good. Monetarily, things are good. It's a really good time to try to push some wicked stuff because when people are doing well, they don't want to give that up.
Yeah.
They don't want to give up their freedom and they don't want to give up their comfort and they don't want to give up their money. So that's a really good time to do some wicked.
Yeah.
Then you get the 30s, right? And you hit the Great Depression.
Oh, yeah.
And now, the country's in the crapper. And it's just kind of funny to me that, we have the Great Depression that happens in the 30s when we just turned around and we started taking everybody's money 15 years earlier.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Right around that time frame.
That could have been God's judgment.
Well, I think it was probably so. And then also it was just probably a natural process of starting to take everyone's money because what they did was that was when we passed payroll tax.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, that was when we passed income tax.
Yeah.
And then we turned around a few years later and we passed payroll tax because the income tax was sweet. Well, we've already put our hand in the cookie jar now. Let's really go after it, right? And then from there on, now there's like 90 different taxes now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all designed they steal from us at every turn.
Yeah.
They do. And then if you go forward in time, I think another huge critical point, a juncture in our country was the 1940s after the war.
Yeah.
Because what happened when we went to war is all the guys went off to combat and went off to the war. And then the girls started going to the factories and, were doing everything and making all the stuff for the war or whatever and filling in for their husbands.
Yeah.
And then when the guys got back from war, it was like, hey, this is nice.
Yeah.
If I go back to work and you work somewhere, then we're going to have 2 incomes.
Yeah.
Imagine what we can do with 2 incomes. So then we started to become a 2-income society.
Yeah.
And from there, we had more and more bombs that were not at home, that were going off to work. Nobody's watching the kids.
Yeah.
And we start to have this decay of society because then you get to the 60s and you get the hippies and all of that movement. And you're probably going to have some kids that are going to start to get spoiled. Like the 50s was probably about the last time things were really good because the 60s is when the government has clearly by this point been corrupted.
Yeah.
Right. Like it started back in the 40s, I think, as far as the war or the machine, if you will, of like the CIA, the FBI, that side of the government. Because we'd already corrupted other things by doing what we did earlier, like I talked about. But that side is now completely corrupted. And then we just move on through time and we do the 60s and the 70s. And then the 80s, we had some good time.
Yeah.
That was like the last kid generation, like the last kid, decade. And then it was just started to all go downhill.
Yeah, it's true.
And now it's just horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And it's just going to get worse Like you can't do all these things. I had a really good conversation with someone. I forget who it was. I don't recall. But I know who it was. It was a guest that I think we're going to be having on the show, and we had a really good talk the other day. We probably talked for about an hour and a half, something like that. And we were talking about some things, and we had talked about how you can see the programming of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And kind of like we talked about, just the wickedness and how nobody stands up to it. And nobody even really realizes it sometimes.
Yeah.
And it was a good talk. It was really sad, but we talked about some of these things and how we've slowly just slid into this bathwater.
Yeah.
And it's just going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And one of the things we talked about was how ultimately the extreme left in this country want to create utopia.
Oh, yeah.
They want to create, it's so funny. They want to create the Garden of Eden. They just don't want to have God be a part of it.
No, they don't.
And it's such a fallacy in thinking, because man in our current state with the fall is not capable of creating a utopia.
No, we're not.
And socialism is just the path to communism.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
never a permanent state. It always winds up in communism.
Yeah.
Everybody who's ever tried what they want to do, it always winds up in communism.
Yep.
So the thing that they fight against, they want to share wealth and they want to have redistribution and all these things. Here, what winds up happening is you don't redistribute anything. You actually take that gap that you think exists between the wealthy and the working class and the poor, and you actually don't shrink it, right? Because that's the concept of the shared wealth. You actually make it far worse, so that now the top 5% have everything, and everybody else is just in the same boat.
Yeah.
Now
true.
everybody's just poor.
Yeah.
That's what happens under communism.
I always I thought of two songs. One, a line that, there's a gap between the rich and the poor, a million miles long. That's true.
Yeah, very
They're
much so.
never going to come together.
No.
Never. And then the other one was a Merle Haggard song, Are the Good Times Really Over for Good? One of the lines is, we're a snowball rolling down the hill headed for hell.
Amen to that.
And it's going pretty fast.
Yeah, it's picking up speed.
It might be melted before it even gets there.
Yeah, and there's just, there will be people that listen to our show that agree with us.
Yeah.
There'll be people that listen to our show that agree with some things that we say, but think we're crazy on others. And there will be some people that won't give us the time of day because they think we're completely insane.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because while you may have this really wide swath of people that feel certain different ways about the things that we talk about, I think a lot of people, if you take all of the God out of it, just take God out of the picture, right? Because that's a huge division point.
Yeah.
That really is probably going to determine the three groups, right? You're going to have the group that listens to what we have to say, and they're like, finally, somebody thinks the way that we think, and because we like to think that we're more open-minded and more willing to kind of not be programmed and kind of look and see what's really going on. And then there's a group in the middle that we encounter a lot of, no, I went to Sunday school and I grew up in the church, and this is what's right, and anything outside of that is wrong because they've been programmed, right?
Yeah.
They've been programmed. And then the last group is just anything that has anything to do with God is tainted, and I don't want to have anything to do with it, right? So anybody that has anything to do with God, you're tainted too, and I don't want to have anything to do with you.
Yeah.
So when you look at those three groups, what actually is amazing, because I think a lot of people can really get on board with this, is what will actually kind of bring us together is if you just take God out of the picture for a second, right, and just look at things through a common sense lens.
Yeah.
Look at what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And I talked to my brother for a while yesterday too, and we talked about this. Just from a common sense perspective, look at what we're doing with AI.
Yeah.
And look at what we're doing with genetic manipulation. There is no way this is sustainable.
No.
It's not possible. And it's exponentially getting faster.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's like we're on the hockey stick, and I don't know how much faster it can go.
Yeah.
But eventually, this is all going to collapse.
Oh, yeah, it will.
The monetary system will collapse. Society will collapse. This will all implode.
Yeah.
And now when we throw God back into the equation, you look at it and it's like, God's going to pull the plug on this. I'm telling you, this is our Tower of Babel.
Yeah. It's going quick.
It's amazing. Like the things that they're doing.
Oh, I know.
I watched a thing last night. Like Randy Travis has a new song out. Randy Travis can't even hardly speak.
I know.
So they took all of his library and they programmed a computer. Do you see this?
Yeah. I see. I know.
And then they had another country artist come in and lay down like a guide vocal.
Yeah.
And then the computer took the guide vocal and then put Randy's voice over the top of it.
Yeah.
And you can't tell.
Oh, I know. It's not him.
I know. Like if I was Randy Travis, I'm like, I don't know how I'd feel about that. I'm like, and he's all smiles during the interview and stuff. But I'm like, man, I wouldn't feel right taking credit for that.
No.
Like I didn't write the song. I didn't sing the song.
No.
I mean, you just used a computer to make my voice sing the song.
Yeah, that's not. I can remember he was upset because one of his songs went on the pop chart. He said, "Get it off. It doesn't belong on there," because he was country.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So now is he needing money or, which I know he's in bad shape, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're an artist.
Yeah. How can you take credit for not, you didn't create anything.
No, you didn't.
I don't know.
Which I've known.
And that's the lighter side of what is capable.
I've known about this whole AI thing coming for years.
Oh yeah. You can see it. You've seen it coming.
Yeah, and
good grief, man. We were joking yesterday. My brother and I were joking literally like if you take this technology, right? And we just used a Randy Travis example.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we have access to.
Oh,
that's what we have access to. So you take that example and now let's give it to the military.
Oh yeah.
Let's give it to these 3-letter agencies.
Yeah.
Imagine what they have access to.
Yeah.
And what they're capable of doing with it.
Yeah.
That should send chills up everybody's spine based on the conversation we've had today.
Yeah. I was watching a thing from Rob Skiba. I don't know how long ago it was. And he was talking about Project 2045 or 35, where man becomes immortal.
Oh.
And this was like years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe this is like 10 years old.
Yeah.
But I guess all these countries, scientists were working on this. And what it was for was they would take your essence and put it on a micro SD card, create this AI bot, give skin or whatever, put your essence so you would live forever.
Yeah.
And then they would create a utopia and then they would become their own gods. It's the same promise in the garden.
Yes.
So you got to look who is giving this information.
It is.
It's Satan.
It's Satan.
It's straight up. I don't care. Oh, it's this blah, blah, blah.
It worked before. Why not try it again?
Yeah, it's straight up Satan.
It is.
From day one.
Yeah.
The same promises. You'll become like God. You'll become immortal.
Yeah. Oh, nothing will happen to you. You won't die.
Yeah.
That's just God trying to trick you. He
Yeah.
just doesn't want you to be like him. But you can be like him if you do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. They want to create the Garden of Eden. They just don't want to have God involved.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
No.
They don't understand that like mankind is not capable. We're not capable in our fallen state.
No, we never will be.
We never will be. We are not capable of redistribution of wealth and pure socialism.
Yeah.
And all these things that they want to do that'll create this utopian state.
Yeah.
Because these people that, I got to tell you what, I've said this several times. Everybody should do this. This is everybody's homework assignment, and it's not that hard of one. You can get the audiobook 80 million different places, and it ain't that long of a read. Everyone should literally go read Animal Farm right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you go read Animal Farm, which was written in like the 50s, I think.
Yeah.
Whatever. Orwell, go read Animal Farm, and you are like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe how familiar this sounds to what we're going through right now.
Yeah. I think the kids have to read it in school.
That's when I read it for the first time, was when I was in school. And that's the last time I'd read it. And I remember it stuck with me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, holy cow, how could somebody, because at the time, like I don't know, it's probably late 80s, early 90s. And I was like, at the time, I'm like, how could anybody, because you know at the time when you're reading it, it's satire for the animals are just taking the place of people, right?
He kind of pulled that probably from Enoch's Animal Apocalypse.
Probably did. And it's all, the other thing too is like that you don't think it's you because it's
You said you? Is that a lamb?
EWE. Yeah, well, when you read it, it's not, you think, oh, well, this isn't America that we're talking about. We're talking about Russia, how horrible this must be for them.
Yeah.
Because it's all based in, they call each other comrade.
Yeah.
Right. So you immediately think, oh, well, this is communism. And it is communism.
Yeah.
But what the story really is how one gets to communism.
Yeah.
And what happens to get you there.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it is like a playbook that we are running right now. And I don't want to know how far into the playbook we are, but we are not near the front. We are near the back.
Yeah.
So, what a cheery discussion, Ben.
Ah, that's great.
It's sad, though, because it's reality.
Yeah, it is.
This is our reality, man.
And I was just thinking about Maria's dream when she talked about it on the show a few months ago about how if this really does go through,
get put in camps. Well, you wonder, like, how would we get to that point? And then you start to see this where we're going to pass legislation that's going to start limiting your speech.
Yeah.
And it's pretty terrifying, man. It's pretty terrifying. We'll see what happens here over the next few months and weeks.
Yeah, I know.
Pentecost. We'll see what happens on Pentecost. Is America going to be judged, or are we gonna skate through? I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know.
It's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that cheery note, we will bid you goodbye, and we'll see you next time on The Foil. Take care.
Bye.